According to the official timekeeping system of the United States of America, my Verizon cell phone, my Apple 15, it is not paid off and it doesn't have AI capabilities yet. Anyway, it's exactly 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central, 8 o'clock Mountain, and 7 o'clock Pacific. And if you're listening to us from the great states of Hawaii or Alaska, which just, think urged their airlines, it's a wee bit early in the morning there. Thanks so much for joining us. This is the National Social Security Advisor Certificate Program Social Security Open Forum, which is brought to you by the NSSA Certificate Program. We've had, I hope everybody is okay after the Hurricane Helen went through. We had some high winds and some rain here in Cincinnati, Ohio. I've little porch damage. Several trees fell down in the neighborhood. But I talked to somebody today from North Carolina, and they just had a lot of rain and also lots of wind. Would anybody like to comment about what you're seeing in your neighborhood? You've probably been muted. Go ahead. So anyone?
You got
Okay.
drizzle.
Teresa, what did you say?
You just got drizzle.
Drizzle. Okay. Well, you're a bit way up there, but yeah, we got hit a little bit here in Cincinnati, Ohio. I was without power for 2 days. So I fell behind a whole lot of accounting and a whole lot of emails. Anyway, did your football team win? Yes, over the weekend. My team lost. The Browns. They lost to Las Vegas. Teresa, sorry about your Steelers. They lost too. But Jim, your Bengals won.
Yeah, we'll enjoy it while we can after watching the team they're playing next week last night. Yeah, a little worried.
Who do they play?
Baltimore.
Baltimore. Who won?
Baltimore.
Okay. All right. Well, they probably have the best team in the league right now. I know Cleveland does not.
Well, Henry
Okay. What's
ran
that, Jim?
199 yards. He'll probably beat that with the Bengals. So.
Who did? Henry?
Henry.
Oh, wow. Jeez.
Yeah, a slacker. Only 199. Couldn't get that extra yard for 200.
So anyway, folks, you know the drill. If you like to go to the head of the line, just head of the class, I should say, you don't even have to send me an apple. Just raise your hand and we'll send you to the head of the class. Okay, if not, I'll just kind of go around Hollywood NSSA squares. Let's start with Craig. Hi, Craig.
How are you?
Good.
Great.
Everything's good here. Thanks for being here. Anything? Craig?
As far as just questions,
Yeah. Any questions?
not really.
Okay.
Not really today.
Okay. Thank you. Lynn, you're next. Lynn from Minnesota. Your team won. I'm sorry you're not in the baseball playoffs, but my Indians did make it.
Yeah, well, what can you do?
I know.
But yeah, the Vikings won against the Pack yesterday, so there's something to be said about that.
Uh-huh.
I don't have any questions other than trying to set up a class.
Okay. Thank you, Lynn. We'll talk later about that.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Teresa, you're next, Teresa.
Timing issue. I don't have any questions. Does the new COLA number come out at the beginning of October or at the end of October?
How about the middle?
Okay.
The middle. I'm fearful that I'm going to be traveling. I got something to do in Vegas towards the middle of October. I might not be able to let you guys know what it is. Oh, well, I have to wait. We're looking about 2.5% though.
You sign up for those Social Security notifications. They do give you all of that information.
Yeah. Yeah. But I like to be the first one out of the box, but yeah, that's how you'll get it. Yeah, you'll get it that way. Thanks, Teresa. Sue, you're next.
You
Sue.
see it comes out.
Sorry.
Yeah, just a little comment. When you see that they've announced the COLAs, if you want to Google 2025 fact sheet, Social Security fact sheet, you may be able to see a lot of other things as well. So they usually announce everything all about the same time.
Sue, you're on, Sue. Go for it.
Thank you, guys. One question each, but before that, just a little preliminary question. Is there a NASA update today at noon?
Yeah. Yes.
Very good. Same link and everything, please?
Well, not the same link as this one, just the link
Okay.
that was in the newsletter that I sent out.
Okay, so
Hmm?
gentlemen, each one of you with your backgrounds and expertise and, your experience in that, what issue of Social Security that most people have never heard of or whatever, that is not known, but is kind of vital in terms of strategy or anything else that has, leverage and everything?
A couple of things. One would be for survivor benefits, people don't necessarily know if the high earner takes their benefit early, that it's going to reduce the survivor benefit. If the survivor then takes the widows or widower benefit before their full retirement age as well, it gets real complicated as to how much they're going to receive. So it can be a little confusing for folks, and they don't understand actions taken today may affect future survivor benefits. And then the other one's the earnings test. And some people have heard about it, but a lot of people haven't. But even those that have heard about it don't understand it. And usually a lot of times they'll become overpaid at least one time until they figure out how it works. And you need to take that into account before you apply. There's a couple.
Okay, and Jim, if you could just repeat the first one, just that first part of it again, please.
Yeah, with the survivor benefit, if the higher earner takes their Social Security before their full retirement age, that's going to have a direct effect on the amount the surviving spouse will receive.
Okay,
Because it's going to reduce the amount of the benefit they can take. And then if the survivor also takes benefit before their full retirement age, then it's even more complicated trying to figure out how to tell them what their benefit will be. So it gets confusing.
okay, thank you. And Mark, please.
Yep. Oh, it's a myth. People at people think that folks at Social Security can provide you with correct answers and guidance. That's huge.
Well,
Yeah, along that line, I've been seeing, I've mentioned before, I'm on the Facebook page with retired but current Social Security employees. And man, are they moaning and groaning about the fact that people are leaving, they're not being replaced, yet folks are still walking in the office. A lot of them aren't taking walk-ins. And of course, now the public's not too happy either. And they're getting behind in their work. It's just a big mess.
Yeah. In regards to yours, Mark, this is what I have found since 1983, since I've been self-employed in that. It's this, whatever a person's understanding is, and you call, whether it's the IRS, Social Security, Medicare, or whatever, or anyone, if the lay person's understanding is this such a level, and let's say Social Security or any of those agencies are only going to answer the question posed, I can see why the response can be different if the question isn't posed,
Yeah.
absolutely correctly. So
No,
I can
yeah,
understand.
I understand that. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it has to. You got it. Agreed.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Anything else, Sue?
No, I've rounded home plate. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Elisa, hello, Elisa.
Hi,
Hello.
I'll just make up a question.
Okay,
Um,
that's what a lot of
Well,
politicians
we'll make up
do.
the answer. then.
Yeah. I don't want to call anybody up. A lot of people make up stuff.
So if you have somebody who comes to you and says, I want to retire at age 55, and they have their like standard Social Security statement, what do you do with predicting their Social Security like FRA amount if they're not going to be working until FRA, like if they're retiring early?
Yeah, the easiest way, look at the amount of the disability benefit, because that just includes wages through the most current year. Now, if they're 55, it could affect the number of years used in the calculation, but it'll give them an idea. Or they can look at the benefit that would be received by their surviving spouse. Either one of those, usually the disability one's more accurate. Two other ways to figure it out. You can tell them to wait a couple years until it shows zeros on there, and then that'll give them an idea. But, you know, pull up your earnings record and go to the Social Security website, and you can type in the years of wages, and then stop it at whatever point they're going to stop, and it'll
Yeah.
give them an estimate.
Yeah.
So that one requires a little bit more work, but it's a
Yeah.
little more
Trying to
accurate.
avoid that one. All right. Thanks.
Thanks.
Sure.
Robert, you're next. Robert Wright.
No questions this morning, gentlemen.
Okay. Fraser, you're next. You're on mute though. I muted everybody. Fraser, you're still on mute.
How's
There you
that?
go.
Can you hear me now?
We got you now.
All right. No, I'm all set with questions. Good luck with your Guardians against my Yankees.
Yeah, no doubt. We'll
It's
need
a
it.
historic classic matchup.
Yeah, David against Goliath, I guess, what you're saying.
I
We'll
know
see.
where my money's
You got a
going.
good team.
Yeah. We'll
Hi,
see.
Jim, how are you?
It should be fun. Okay, thanks, Fraser. Appreciate it. And
Goodbye,
by the way,
Robert.
they're not the Guardians, they're the Indians. Hi, Jamie. You're next.
Good morning. Yeah, just listening. Thanks.
Okay. Bob, you're next.
Thanks. I would have added to the things that people don't understand, and this is a small segment of the population that deals with the WEP and the GPO, the WEP and so forth. And to be honest, I don't really understand it as well as I'd like to. I mean, every once in a while I'll get a person that will say, I think it's wrong that I worked and I had earnings that were Social Security eligible, but then I also worked for a fire department. I was a fireman, and now my Social Security is getting decimated, if not eliminated. Again, that's their comment. I don't know if that's actually true, but I know it's being reduced. And I guess the question I was going to ask is, if I had a person that worked 20 years in a job that was Social Security, not money was being deposited in the Social Security system for that 20 years. And then he changed careers and worked 20 years in a government office or some other place that had, Social Security pension that was a pension that was, accrued to him, but they weren't contributing to Social Security. Why wouldn't that person get a benefit from both of those?
Yeah.
I mean, I know why they wouldn't, but I mean,
No. Well, Bob,
why,
they
why
will.
is that?
They
Give us
will.
an idea.
WEP does not reduce your own Social Security down to zero. Does not. So you will receive something off of your record. However,
Something.
However, it will be reduced by a maximum of $587 or so. And in your situation, Bob, the person only had 20 years of Social Security covered earnings, and as a result, would still only be able to use Ben point 1 at 40% versus 90%. So the more you have over 20 years of substantial Social Security earnings, the reduction will be lessened because you'll be able to use more of that first Ben point percentage. But they'll always get something off their record, always.
So in theory, I mean, again, this is a theory question. In theory, if the person worked in the same job for 40 years, they'd get their Social Security benefit, X amount of money at retirement, full retirement age. In theory, though, with the windfall and government offset, in theory, I mean, if they work 20 years in this job and 20 years in this government job, are they going to get the same money, everything being equal?
Jim, I'll let you answer that one.
In my case, I ended up with more because my Social Security, if I'd have paid into Social Security the entire time, it would have been based on my high 35 years. My civil service pension is based on my high 3 years. So my federal pension's much better deal than what Social Security would have been.
Okay.
If it helps, and it usually doesn't, just so you know, you can explain to them Social Security computation was done in a manner to give lower earners a higher percentage return of their benefit versus their wages compared to the higher earners. And what happens with your folks in your situation, they look like they're a lower earner, but if you consider the fact they had earnings that were not covered by Social Security, they really weren't. And so what Social Security or what Congress felt was those folks were getting a windfall. They were getting a better percentage return because they looked like they were lower earners than they really would have been entitled to. So they did the windfall elimination provision. So they eliminated that windfall. Do people like it when you tell them that? No, but that is the reasoning behind it. And just so you may not be aware, Congress is going to vote. I think the last I saw, they pushed it off to November.
Yeah.
But they're going to force a vote in the House to eliminate GPO and WEP. And they've got like 218 sponsors. So they got enough people. If all the sponsors vote yes, it'll pass the House. I don't know if it get through the Senate. And if it gets through the Senate, I don't know if the president would sign it. But they are trying to eliminate windfall and government pension offset. I don't think personally it'll happen. But I've been wrong before.
If that vote goes through, will it be retroactive as well?
I haven't looked at the legislation. I assumed it would just start at the point the law was passed. But that's a good question. I don't know. I haven't seen the legislation itself.
Yeah, I doubt it'd be retroactive. That'd be way too costly to the government. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. Again, it's in theory, I appreciate it, but
right.
Thanks for your thoughts.
Okay, thanks,
Yeah,
Bob.
and pull up the WEP fact sheet and the GPO fact sheet. And you can use those as, they're only 2 pages. You can use them as handouts for your clients.
Yeah, I was looking at this thing. I got this a couple years ago from one of your seminars, and although it's dated a couple of years, I'm sure most of it's still accurate.
WEP
Yeah.
and GPO is still going to be the same. The only difference would be if it talks about how much of an offset there's going to be, because as Mark mentioned, it's based off of Ben point number 1, and that changes from year to year, but the overall concept is still the same.
Great. Thank you, guys.
Okay, thanks. Mark, you're next, Mark.
No questions today, just
Oh.
listening.
Okay, Mark Ruby, thank you, but I was really referring to Mark Eccles. Mark Eccles, anything on your mind? Okay, we'll go to Nathan. Hi, Nathan.
Morning, Mark. I didn't have any questions today, but I will be pulling for your Guardians because one of our alumni, Gavin Williams, is coming out of the bullpen for you this year.
Oh, good. All right. Hopefully he gets some action and does well. Thank you, Nathan. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
The other Nathan now, Nathan Thomas, you're next.
Yeah, no questions today. Just listening in. Thanks.
Okay. Jeffrey, you're up.
Yep. Okay. Thanks. I do have a couple questions. So for the credits that you earn, you got to get your 40 credits to be able to get your Social Security. And there's an amount, I think it's 6,900 that you have to get in a year right now,
To
right?
get 4.
To get the 4 credits.
Yeah, to get the 4.
My question is, and I've kind of seen some things on it that you can get it in less than a
Yeah.
year.
Oh, sure. You can
I
get it in a day.
Okay, so if I can get it all in one day, if I
Well,
can earn
you could-
6,900 in one day.
You could earn the 4 credits, but you won't get them until the quarters come about. So if you make $25,000 in January, you just get 1 credit in January, next credit April 1st, July 1st, and then October 1st.
Even if I don't work the
Yeah.
rest of the year after
Yep.
January, I'll get those credits each
Yes.
time. Okay.
Mhm.
And then my second question is, and this kind of goes on the back of Bob's question, on the government, if I work for the government, am I earning credits at the same rate? Does all of my earned income
No,
count?
that has to be
if I'm
Social
not-
Security covered earnings.
Okay, so I'm not getting credits as I'm working for TRS or somebody
No.
that's not paying in at all.
Nope, not at all.
Okay.
Has to be Social Security covered earnings to earn credits for the Social Security program.
Okay, and then my third question is, for disability, I just want to make sure I'm understanding it right, that if I work at the first part of my career and I get my 40 credits, and then I'm either retire early before Social Security or whatever, and the last 10 years, I don't have 20 of those credits earned in those 10 years, I'm not eligible for disability. So I could be eligible all my career and all of a sudden I'm not eligible because I've let my credits dwindle. I stopped working as much or I stopped working altogether. And so now, is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. You can have your 40 credits for retirement and not be eligible for disability because, as you mentioned, you didn't earn 20 of the credits in the 40 quarter period before you became disabled. So you look back 10 years, did you earn 20 credits in there? And even though you've got 40 or more, if you don't meet that current work connection, then no disability benefits are payable.
Okay. All right. Thank you. That's all I have today.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Let's go to Melanie. Hello, Melanie.
Good morning. I don't really have anything today, just listening and learning.
Okay,
Thanks.
thank you. Thank you. Mark Riggs. I don't think we've done you yet. No, we've done two others.
Nope, just listening in, and I'll be on Team Guardians until they face the Orioles, and then
Oh, okay. Well, that should be fun too. And a lot of good teams in the playoffs. They always are. All right. Thank you, Mark. Allison, you're next.
I just had a quick question on SSI and Medicaid. At current law, the law is that there's a Medicaid payback when the individual with a disability dies, a Medicaid payback. And there was some talk that there is some proposed legislation to get rid of the Medicaid payback on death. Have you heard any updates on that?
We don't deal with Medicaid.
Okay.
Jim?
Yeah, I didn't even know there was the legislation out there. So
yeah,
unfortunately.
Oh, and my last question, and again, you guys might not know the answer on this. You know, the guideline for SSI is that the individual with a disability cannot have more than $2,000 in their name. And there's also some proposed legislation that's been out there for a while for that amount to go up to $10,000. But it seems like it never passes. Do you have any update on that? Because I think they haven't changed that amount in like 40 years, the $2,000.
Yeah, I think it's always been 2,000. So 2,000 in the 80s certainly is a different amount than 2,000 now. Yeah, it's just has to get through Congress. They just have to make the change. And, you know, you never know what they're going to do. They have to make the effort to make the change is the problem. And there's lots of proposals out there. None of them ever seem to get passed. So that's one I'd like to see that would help with the resource issue. But, you know, I don't know. I don't have a gauge one way or the other, which way that might go.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have. Thanks.
Okay, thanks. Cameron, you're next, Cameron. Okay, I'll go to the next row.
Yeah, so no, I'm sorry. I was on mute. So no,
okay.
I didn't listen. So I didn't have anything important today, Mark. Thanks.
Okay, thanks. Okay, Mike, you're next. Mike Moss.
No questions today, Mark, but go
Okay.
Indians.
Yeah, thank you. George, you're next, George.
Good morning. I just wanted to follow up on something that was mentioned earlier about getting the credits in January. I asked you this previously, and you answered it already. Just to confirm and to share with the group, it's the same way if somebody earns their credits in December and they get credit for the whole year, the 4 credits for the whole year. Just double checking and sharing that.
Just one day. Just all you have to do is have the earned income. Pure
Doesn't
and
matter
simple.
beginning or the end of the year.
Doesn't matter. Just earned income.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. People are kind of moved around a little bit here. Alina, but I don't think you're Alina. I think you're Josh.
Are we with Josh or Elena?
Yeah, well, it's really Alina, but I saw you, Josh, when you were
Oh, that's
showing.
funny. I wonder if I'm logged into hers. Anyway.
Yeah, you are.
I'm identifying as Elena today.
Okay.
quick question. I had a lady, it was a unique situation where her ex-husband has a terminal illness and called Social Security to find out what his benefit would be if she filed under his record versus whether she should start collecting. They wouldn't tell her. Is that normal, or is she not entitled to know that?
She's entitled to know what she's eligible for. So they were wrong in not telling her how much her benefit would be. Did she do it over the phone or go
She
in?
did it over the phone, so I told her to go to a field office.
Yeah, she'll need to prove that she's eligible and show them her divorce decree. If the divorce decree shows the date of marriage, that's all she needs. If it doesn't, she'll need the marriage certificate, but basically prove they were married 10 years or more.
Yeah, she had everything, but it was over the phone, and they
Yeah,
refused to
so-
tell her.
And maybe that's why they didn't tell her. They weren't sure that she was eligible. So I would go in and they'll give her the info.
Okay. Thanks.
Thanks, Josh. Caroline, you're on your iPhone, so are you on here too?
Good morning. Yes, I am on.
Okay.
And I do have a question. I had a client that actually retired at the age of 62, and he called me because he received a letter saying that his payment date was going to change from the third Wednesday to the third of the next month. So he didn't understand why his pay date was changing. Do you have any idea of why the pay date was changed?
Is he on disability or did he?
No, just retirement.
Huh.
But he is turning 65 in September. That's the only thing, the only change that has happened. But the payment center just sent him a letter and saying he would no longer get his check on the third Wednesday. His payday will be the third of every month.
That's a little weird.
Wait, the third of every month or the third Wednesday of every month?
The third of every month.
Okay, so yeah.
He needs to contact Social Security and find out why. I mean, he still gets paid once a month, but
yeah,
if he's okay with that, but I would double check on that one because that doesn't seem right.
Okay, I was just wondering, had you ever, heard of that or had that situation happen before? But I'll have him to call the Social Security office.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Sure.
Carolyn. Okay,
have a good day.
Thanks. Joy, you're next, Joy. Anything on your mind, Joy? If not, we'll go to, oh yeah, there you go.
If someone had employer coverage and they turned 65 on October 1st, why, and they requested Medicare to be active October 1st, why would they make their Medicare, and this may not be a Medicare, this may be CMS, but they made it effective for September 1st and not October 1st. So essentially she has to pay the Part B for September when she turned 65 October 1st and has had credible coverage through the month of September.
Yeah, well, first of all, she technically is eligible in September because she attained age 65 September 30th, today. And so this is her age 65 month and Medicare is effective the first day of that month. The Part A would be effective September. She should have been able to make the Part B effective with October when she filed. She should have told them that, then they should have accepted that. Now, technically, if you file in those first 3 months, it would be effective in September. If she actually filed the application in October or in September, then it would have been effective October 1st. So I would contact Social Security and see if you can get them to change it.
Okay, yeah, we filed the beginning of September and requested an effective date for October 1st because she's had the credible coverage. But when
Well,
she
if she filed in September, it should have been effective. The Part B should have been effective October 1st. So I would question them on that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, the Part A, though, is going to be effective September 1st, but that's no charge. So unless she has an HSA, that's not a problem.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Okay, let's go. Okay, got Joy's next. Krista, you're next, Krista.
Great, thank you. Actually, one of my questions was asking about the weapon GPO legislation, so appreciate that
okay.
comment earlier. The other question, I just wanted to clarify my understanding with delayed retirement credits. So the delayed retirement credits, while they're earned, they're not really accounted for, credited to your benefit until January of the following year, unless you're beginning at age 70. Is that a correct understanding?
That is correct, yes.
Okay, am I missing any unique details to that?
No, that's really how it works.
Okay.
And you'll see that on people's benefit statements. It'll show, if if their full retirement age is not an even year. So it might show that somebody born in 1959, their full retirement age is 66 and 10 months. And so it'll show an amount at 66 and 10 months, and then it'll show what it would be at, say, 67. And if it's all in the same year, it's the same amount. So it looked like, well, even though I wait 2 months, I don't get any delayed retirement credits. And that's because, as you mentioned, it doesn't kick in until January of the following year.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Luke, you're next.
Hey, Mark. I didn't have any specific questions, but the one thing I do find myself, I feel like Googling or looking back into the notes and stuff was related to the WEP and the GPO. So that earlier comment was a little bit helpful. For whatever reason, I just always default to, like, when I see someone that has like a pension from the government, I just think, oh, that's going to affect their Social Security in some way. But that's usually not the case, not always the case. So I was just wondering if there's something better to help me remember kind of the differences between, I know I understand sort of the differences between WEP and GPO, but then just how pensions affect them, and just something easier for me to remember. I don't know why I can't get my thick head to wrap around the two rules related to it. So
Yeah, I would probably those fact sheets, the WEP fact sheet and the GPO fact sheet, would help. They're only 2 pages each, but those might give you a help with that. Remember, WEP stands for worker and GPO stands for grumpy partner. So that's spousal, ex-spousal, and survivor benefits. It's on somebody else's work record as opposed to their own, when falls against their own benefit.
Yep. Yeah, I always got that. And then where are those fact sheets at that you mentioned?
If you just Google WEP fact sheet,
okay,
or GPO, or I can give you the numbers. Let's see. So windfall, it's it's Social Security publication 05-10045, and government pension offset is publication 05-10007.
Awesome. Thank you. I'll take a
And
look.
if you can get, if you go to the Social Security website, down at the bottom of the homepage, there should be a link to publications. And if you type in WEP or GPO, it should give them to you as well.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
Sure.
Just so everybody knows, WEP and GPO will be part of our discussion at the NSSA update at noon Eastern time. Okay, Andrea, you're next.
Hi, Mark and Jim.
Howdy.
I along with all these WEP questions and GPO, is a railroad career, is that the same thing? It has an effect on someone's, it's considered a pension and affects someone's Social Security.
Can you cut her off, Mark? We're throwing her off the.
Okay, yeah, we're almost
no
done with our
questions. It's not affected like WEP and GPO. It's not part of that. Railroad, though, is its own little plan. A lot of it looks like Social Security, Railroad has two tiers, tier 1 and tier 2. Tier 2 looks just like Social Security. The amount of money you pay in is the same, what you pay the tax and the amount of money you pay the tax on. Tier 1's an additional tax that they pay, but it gets them an additional benefit. It's subject to earnings test, and there's a spousal benefit payable, but it's its own pension plan. Now, if you're eligible for both, then what they tell folks to do, contact Railroad first, and they'll make a decision. Either you're going to receive a Railroad pension and a Social Security benefit, or depending on the amount of work you had, you'll receive the Railroad pension and they'll pull in your Social Security earnings and use that in their calculation, or vice versa. If it's just a little bit of railroad work and mainly Social Security, then they'll turn it over to Social Security. But it's Railroad's choice. So always contact the Railroad Board first and have them apply, and then they'll let them know what to do with their Social Security.
Okay, so just to clarify what you just said, I can't, as a advisor, I can't kind of determine how that affects them. We have to contact Railroad, and
Right.
they are doing the calculation, not
Right.
someone else. Okay.
It's a little more difficult than maybe it needs to be, but yeah, you'll have to contact the Railroad Board.
All right. Sorry I asked, but I thank you for giving me all that information.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that, because when Mark and I first started, we had a radio show, and we had people call into the radio show, and the very first caller had a railroad question. So, and we got hit with it right off the bat, but.
Okay, thank you, Andrea. Appreciate it. Adam, you're next, Adam. Adam Solich, are you there? Okay. We'll go to Karen. Karen, you're next.
I'm just listening today. Had a great question. I typed it up. Now I can't find it. So next time.
Hi, Karen. Thank you. Well, join us at noon and you can ask the question then.
Yeah, and somebody asked if that was going to be recorded so they could listen to it later, and yes, it's recorded.
As long as I press the record button, Jim.
As long as we remember, that's right.
That's right. The key. Rocky, you're next, Rocky. Let's see. I'm losing my focus here for Rocky.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes, go for it.
Sorry, guys. Yeah, two things. Jim, you said something earlier I wanted you to clarify. For a survivor benefit, no matter when the person elects, the higher benefit's the remaining benefit, correct?
Right. The amount they receive is based on what that person does, but it's still based off of the higher earners PIA.
Okay, and the higher earners PIA or the survivor benefit, what they're getting at that time? Let's say they elected 70.
Well, right, you do. It is the PIA plus any delayed retirement credit. So if the person waited till 70, the survivor benefit would be the PIA plus the DRCs that person earned. So it's what they're receiving at the time they passed away.
Okay, thanks. And then my other question is, let's say you have a spouse whom you're going to collect a spousal benefit off of. And for example, let's say this spouse turns their benefit on 62. The person who's going to collect the spousal waits their full retirement age.
Harry, didn't I respond to your question earlier today?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah, not Harry, Rocky. That was the same exact question I got from somebody else. Wasn't it you?
No.
Okay, never mind then. Okay, go for it.
No, and I wanted to clarify, are they going to get that spousal based on the PIA or what their benefit is at age 62 adjusted for inflation?
Yeah, in that situation, it's based off of the half of the PIA. The fact that they took their benefit, the higher earner took their benefit early, doesn't affect the spousal benefit. It'll be based on the spouse's age when they file. The other part of that though is if the high earner waits till 70, it's still based off of the PIA. They don't, as a spouse, they don't get any benefit from the delayed retirement credits.
Thanks. Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Sure.
Rocky. No, the question is a little different, but yeah, but similar situation. Thanks, Rocky.
So can I ask a follow-up question on that?
Yeah.
So James, you said that the spouse doesn't get the benefit of the delayed credit, but if they are widowed or a widower, they would then get the benefit of it?
Yes, spouses, living spouses, their benefits based on the PIA. The survivor benefit would be based off of the PIA plus the delayed retirement credits.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Jeremy, you're next.
Thanks, guys. Just listening today. Appreciate
Okay,
you.
thanks, Jeremy. Caitlin. Okay, let's go to the note taker, whoever's taking notes for somebody. Okay.
This is Caitlin. I was on mute. I apologize.
Okay, Caitlin.
Really quick question. So we have a client that we received, or they pulled their social security statement in August. And they turned 67 in 8 months when it was pulled, and they turned 68 in December. It was pulled back in early August. But it's showing the same benefit amount at 67 and 8 months and at 68. It's not showing like any increase for those 5-month differences. I wasn't sure if there was a reason for that or if it was maybe just an error on the statement they pulled.
No, that's the confusing part. That's because the delayed retirement credits they earn by waiting till 68. Whatever they earn this year won't be credited to their benefit until January of next year. So starting at that, if they started benefits at that month of their birthday, they're not going to get the delayed retirement credits until January. I don't know if that makes sense.
Okay, got it. So they're past their normal retirement age, but the delayed credits don't kick in until January 1st.
Right. So we'll say whatever they earned in 2024, whether they started benefits in March or they started benefits in September, on the statement, it's going to be the same because the delayed retirement credits they earn this year won't kick in until January of 25.
So they turned 68 in December. So if they began their benefit in December, they actually get a slightly increased amount from what it's showing.
The first check they get for December will come in January, but it's the December benefit. So it would not include any DRCs. But the check they get in February would see the increase.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thanks, Caitlin. Okay, so we're out of questions, which is okay. So Jim, we have more to talk about, believe me, folks. So, but we need to pick two gift cards, Jim. Two numbers between 1 and 33, please.
4 and 22.
Okay, so I'm counting backwards. Karen, you're one of the winners. Karen Bauer.
Great, thank you.
And Cameron. So Cameron and Karen, send me an email and I will send you electronically a $50 Amazon gift card. My email address, as you probably know, is mkiner, K-I-N-E-R, at mypremierplan.com. So send me an email, Karen and Cameron, mkiner at mypremierplan.com, and I will send you each a $50 Amazon gift card. So Jim, okay, so if you don't send me an email, you probably won't get the gift card. It's a reminder that I really, really need. Okay, Jim knows a lot about my memory. Okay, so there is a question that I thought Rocky was asking, but he wasn't. We have a wife that turning 62. She's not eligible for any benefits off her own work record. husband is going to turn his on, let's just say his full retirement age, even though that's really no big deal. Jim, the question is, when can she wait until her full retirement age to apply for the spousal benefit in that situation, or does she have to take whenever the husband turns his on at his full retirement age?
Now, she can wait and file whenever she wants. The deemed filing rules wouldn't apply unless, first of all, she was eligible on her own, and then also applied on her own. So when her husband files and she's not yet full retirement age, if she wanted the higher benefits, she could wait. She's
Okay.
not forced to file in that situation.
So the other question is that we have wife is takes her benefit at 62. 4 years later, not a couple of years later, the husband files for his benefits. Now, what does she need to do, Jim?
Okay, she'll need to file an application. Social Security should contact her. Whether or not they do, your guess is as good as mine. I would say when her husband applies, no later than when he gets notified his claim was processed, she'll need to file, because he would list her on his application. And because she's receiving on her own, deemed filing will make her take the benefit. You know, under the old rules, deemed filing only applied in the month that you began your benefits. And then if you became eligible for the survivor or the spousal benefit at a later point down the road, you could wait if you wanted to. They wouldn't make you apply. But with the new rules, even if you applied for your own today and then your spouse files for their benefit a year from now, and you're eligible for that spousal boost, you have to take it effective the same month that your spouse applied. So it's just not automatic. You'll have to apply. If you don't apply, you think, well, I'm going to wait till my full retirement age. That way there's no retroactivity. They'll have to pay me based off of the full half and it's unreduced. Nope, doesn't work that way. The fact that he listed you on the application sets deemed filing in place, and it's effective whenever you apply. So they'd end up sending you all that back pay, but your benefit would be reduced.
Jim, I taught a little segment in Dallas, Addison. I think it was Addison. It's Addison, one of the two. Anyway, last week. And one of the speakers, for some odd reason, he spoke about the Medicare application process, which is nice. I learned a lot because I've never, it's been a while since I fought for Medicare, but he also, for some reason, spent 15, 20 minutes talking about Social Security. I don't know why, because I was going to spend an hour talking about Social Security. But anyway, he was asked a question. I was fuming. I was seething in my own mind. You know, how can he do this? Anyway, he was asked a question by one of the attendees about retroactive benefits. So the attendee said, and wanted to talk about 6 months worth of retroactive benefits. And he said, well, can you explain that to me? So the speaker, won't mention his name, and he said that you go back 6 months. So if your full retirement age is 67 and you're 67 in 3 months, you go back 6 months, you get a nice lump sum check. Jim, what was the fallacy in what he said?
Yeah, they'll go back 6 months or to the month you attain full retirement age, whichever is earlier. So 6 months is the maximum, but in that example, that person asked, they'll only go back 3 months.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of odd that, first of all, that he would be speaking on Social Security since I had a whole hour to talk about it. And number two, he really didn't know the answer to that question, but yet he spoke about Social Security anyways. And then somebody else, Jim, asked him a question about the annual earnings test and how your benefits are adjusted down the road. He didn't really understand what the question was, so he never really answered it. Jim, will you answer that question, please?
Well, my first question is, did you answer it?
When I spoke, I answered it. Oh, I addressed it. Yep.
Okay, so what happens if they withhold any of your benefits because of the annual earnings test? They call those credit months. And when you reach full retirement age, they look to see how many credit months do you have. And a credit month is any month you don't receive a full Social Security benefit due to your earnings. So there may be that they withheld 2.5 months worth because of your earnings. Well, that would count as 3 credit months. And so they'll look at the number of credit months you have and then adjust your reduction factor by those number of months. So it's going to reduce your reduction factor and increase your monthly benefit amount based on however many months you didn't receive a full check.
Now, Jim, that relates to retirement benefits. How about survivor
Yes.
benefits? I know the adjustment is at different age, 2 times at different ages. What are those? What are those
Yeah,
ages?
survivor benefits, it's still the same theory. They're credit months because of the earnings test, but they will make the adjustment first at age 62 and then again at full retirement age. So somebody files at age 60 and between 60 and 62, they have 6 credit months. Well, they would change that reduction factor and give credit for those 6 months. And then again, they'll look at it again at full retirement age. How many credit months did you earn between 62 and full retirement age, and then make the adjustment at that point. So survivors get it twice.
Yeah, and I remember reading some type of report by the Inspector General several years ago, Jim. I'm going to say 5 maybe, indicating that those adjustments made are not always correct. Do you agree with that? Or no, I'm not going to say do you agree, but what are your thoughts?
That I would think that they would be correct because it's not up to the people at the Social Security office. It's all done by computer. I do know that he beat him up pretty bad because survivors were receiving less money than they should have in a lot of cases. I attributed that to the fact that you can take one benefit at 60 or 62 and switch to the other one, later on down the road. So you could take the survivor at 60 and save your own till 70, or take your own at 62 and take the survivor at full retirement age. They were missing out on that. I didn't notice the earnings test being an issue.
Okay, great. Thanks, Jim. Jim, what was the last couple of questions you've received from folks?
Well, I had one I'd never ever had before. Somebody asked me about, they said Social Security asked their client for an SSA 131. And I had to look that one up. I had never had experience with the SSA 131, but basically it's for, if you've helped anybody apply for benefits, they ask the question, are there any special wage payments that you're going to receive in one year that were earned in a prior year? And the 131 is for those special payments. And so they want to know about those, and they'll have the employer complete that. Very few people have that situation, and the person that was asking about it, it didn't apply. I don't know why Social Security was asking for it. Person had sold their business, and they were going to go from earned income, W-2s, to the payout for their business over the next several years. And I guess Social Security person thought that was a special wage payment, which is not. That's not going to apply to the earnings test. So they won't really need the 131. But that's an interesting one. If you have clients that do have special wage payments, when they apply for benefits, Social Security will ask the employer to complete the 131. I don't think you'll run into it very often.
Jim, we get lots of questions from folks. Yeah, we do get quite a few about lump sum payments. So you have a government worker, Jim, that is retiring, receiving a lump sum payment or even a rollover into an IRA. Does that avoid WEP and or GPO? Harold told me that, yeah, it avoids it. We were at a Cincinnati Reds baseball game a little while ago. And he told me that, yeah, it does avoid weapon GPO.
Well, first of all, at least the Reds ended with a win. Yay. So
And they scored a run, Jim.
scored 3 in the 10th.
I
It took them 10
know, they
innings
were
to score, but
Get out 2 games in a row.
yeah.
Mhm.
But now what was the question? I forgot already.
Lump sum payments.
Lump sum, that's right.
And
So-
also rollover into an IRA.
Right. So that does not get you out of WEP or GPO. What Social Security will do if you take a lump sum payment or you roll it over to an IRA, the first thing they're going to ask is, do you know what your monthly benefit amount would have been if you had taken a monthly pension? And if the answer to that is no, and the government body can't provide that, what they have a chart, and it's the same, you'll find it under the WEP and under the GPO, but it's exactly the same the way it works. They'll take the amount of the rollover, whether you roll it over into an IRA or they just pay you a lump sum. They'll take the amount of that money and your life expectancy at the point where you did the rollover, and they'll divide it by, they have a percentage they divide it by, but it's basically the number of months in your life expectancy, and they'll determine a monthly benefit amount, and then they'll apply WEP and GPO based off of that benefit amount. So you can't get out of WEP or GPO by doing a rollover. You can, if you withdraw only your contributions, can include interest, but nothing that the government agency contributed, then you're just giving up all rights to a pension. Then you're okay. Then WEP or GPO won't apply. Usually that happens when somebody has, say, less than 5 years of work, and so they're not vested into the pension program, and they allow them to pull out what they had put in. That's not going to affect WEP or GPO.
Okay, I want to remind folks that next year we're going to have 6 NSSA webinars. All of our webinars next year will be split over 2 days, 11 to 3 Eastern time, both days. We're not going to have any full day webinars. We're going to have 6 live in-person classes. I can give you the dates and the times. No, I can give you the dates and the cities quickly. I can do that. So we're going to be in Orlando on February 20th, Phoenix on April 17th, Cincinnati on June 17th, Charlotte, August 21st, Chicago, October 16th, and Philadelphia, December 11th. So we're going to be in those cities next year. Love to see you there. Also, we have our holiday special webinars coming up, December 26th, 8 to 4:30 Eastern time, and December 27th/30th, 11 to 3 Eastern time. Tuition is discounted 40%. This will be our last year offering the holiday special webinar. So if you have colleagues that might like to attend our class at a 40% discount, we'd love to see them at our holiday special webinar. So go ahead and pass that information on to colleagues. Jim Blair, any final comments? It's coming up against the bewitching hour.
Yeah, just, keep the questions coming, and we'll get you the answers. I know it can be confusing a lot of times, so don't feel bad if there's something you're struggling with a little bit. We'll help you out with that.
Folks, that ends today's open forum. I have the next one on the schedule already. I guess it's 2 weeks from now, but don't quote me on that. Anyway, take care. We'll see you later. Maybe we'll see you at noon Eastern. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.